Thank you for inviting me to be part of this program. And we are grateful for the gift of technology that has allowed me to be part of this conference. It's a privilege and a great honor for me to speak across the nation. And so I want to share my presentation on climate change in Africa. But because I work with the youth, I want to particularly talk about the role of the youth in the fight against climate change. And I'll particularly talk about the work that we're doing in the church. I have broadened my presentation to share about Africa. So my presentation is entitled Climate Change in Africa, the Role of the Youth in the Church. Climate change in Africa. Climate change is real and happening now with severe and diverse impacts. Africa, while having the least contribution to greenhouse gas emissions, is the most vulnerable and has been hit hardest by the impacts of climate change. The region has experienced a rise in annual temperatures over the past decades and changes in rainfall patterns, particularly increasing in the frequency of floods and droughts. Climate change effects and impacts we have seen in the recent past severe droughts in Africa. We have seen changing ecosystems, reduced crop yields. We have seen a lot of floods and storms, increased vector diseases, rising sea levels, and we have seen deforestation. We have also seen loss of biodiversity, increasing incidences of landslides, and this has also, we have seen in the recent past, increased conflicts over water, land, and other environmental resources. Shortages in hydropower production. This has led to a number of African countries experiencing what is known as load management or load shedding, particularly my country, Zambia, because we depend on hydropower. We have seen in the recent past where we have been experiencing load management or load shedding, where power is cut for about 12 hours because we do not have hydro that is able to give us power. In Africa, science tells us that there's going to be water shortage, and it was predicted that by 2020, about 750 to 250 million people will face increased water stress. And this water stress causes people to begin fighting for a commodity which is a free gift that God has given to us. We have seen impacts on agriculture, and because of drought, we have seen a poor yield of crops. And this has resulted to increased number of malnutrition cases on the continent. Fisheries has also not been spared. We have seen creatures that are affecting the local food supply. The health sector has also not been spared. We have seen vector-borne diseases shifting. And this picture shows some of the impacts of climate change. On my left side is a picture of floods in Nairobi, Kenya. And the other one is in Zambia. This picture in Zambia actually connects my village, my hospital, to the rest of Zambia. When it was washed away, we were completely cut off from civilization and cut off from the rest of the country. And this was due to the floods that we had experienced. The next picture also shows us the water levels in a dam and floods in Ghana and the impact that it had on the community. These are just examples of what we are facing in Africa. Africa's vulnerability. Africa's vulnerability to climate change is attributed to multiple factors, among many which are heavy dependence on rain-fed agriculture, high population density and population growth rates, which increases the demand for water, food, livestock, and wood for fuel. Also, widespread of poverty, and many parts of the continent is experiencing water scarcity. We have also seen rampant disease, weak economies, and limited resources for adaptation. We can talk about climate adaptation, but without resources, we cannot adapt. And because of the poverty and the weak economies that we have, we are unable to adapt to climate change. Poor infrastructure has also contributed to bad impacts. But what is the role of the youth in fighting climate change in Africa, particularly in the church? I want to submit that the youth play an important role in combating climate change. The youth is the next generation which will inherit the earth and inherits the responsibility to protect the earth in fighting the complex scientific problems and the social presented by climate change. And so youth education is important. And so the church in Africa has invested in youth education. In my own church, we have a program that we call the Youth and Nature. In this program, we educate the youth on issues to do with climate change. The curriculum is developed in such a way that the youth are educated on climate change. And particularly in the schools of the United Church of Zambia, what has happened is that whenever a youth or a child comes to school, they are asked to plant a tree. And as they plant that tree, they are asked that from the time they enroll in the school until they exit, they will need to look after that tree. Not only that, but what we have done as the United Church of Zambia is that we have encouraged these schools that are owned by the church to form environmental clubs. In these clubs, they talk about issues to do with the environment. They talk about deforestation and other issues. But also our Sunday school syllabus, we are trying with Greenfaith to introduce a syllabus that is environmental conscious, a syllabus that speaks to ecological justice, a syllabus that speaks to the need for the church to react to issues of environmental justice. I like one quote by Ban Ki-moon. Ban Ki-moon says that the youth are adaptable and can quickly make low carbon lifestyles and career choices a part of their daily lives. The youth should therefore be given a chance to be active in decision making of local and global levels. And the church the church is active in giving space to the youth to showcase what they can do. But I must say that the youth continues to have a lot of challenges and problems. They are the majority, but they continue to have a number of challenges. And I want to submit the challenges encountered by the youth. One, access to information is low. In most cases, it is absent. Non-inclusion of young people in the development of national strategies for sustainable development and decision-making. inadequate financial support to youth-led climate action projects. The other one is little or no recognition of young people's efforts on climate issues. This has led the youth to step back when it comes to combating climate change. In conclusion, climate change has an impact on livelihood of people, particularly in Africa. Youths have a role in fighting against climate change, and the church has a huge role to play in fighting against climate change. Allow me to state as I end that Africa is predominantly religious, and many people are religious. And so the church has got a special role to play in fighting against climate change. Therefore, what we are doing as a church is we are taking advantage of the unique position that we have to bring a theology of change, a theology of change that deals with lifestyle changes and encouraging young people to grow with a mind that is environmental conscious and a mind that is justice centered. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for listening. Amen.